with the United States Navy Memorial. If I could please have your full name and rank.
Gilbert Charles Dormandy, Sonarman First Class.
Thank you. And sir, if you could just start us off and when you joined the United States Navy and just bring us through.
Okay. Well, I joined on November 30th, 1942. I went to the Great Lakes Naval Training Station immediately. We were there, I guess, 8 weeks, something like that. And came out of there as a seaman first, actually. And then I went to Key West, Florida Sonar School. We were there for 5 weeks where we trained for at sea on small escort vessels, and they had a submarine there. We used to go out and try to find it and attack it, so forth. So we graduated from there as a sonarman third class, and I was assigned to the USS Sproston, which is a DD-577, which was being built at Orange, Texas. So we transferred there and were there just a couple of weeks putting supplies on board. The ship was commissioned in May of, I don't remember the date exactly, but May of 1943. And we put to sea, and right away we encountered problems, mechanical problems. We blew a steam pipe, no sooner got out in the Gulf of Mexico, and we had to plug up the pipe to keep going. And it was one problem after another, mechanical problem. It's just a miracle the ship lasted as long as it did. But anyway, they sent us from there down to Guantanamo Naval Base in Cuba. And we operated out of there with shakedown crews and testing our guns. And we had a brand new crew, of course. Probably 75% of the men on board had never been to sea before, maybe even a higher percentage than that. And but anyway, we were down there, I've forgotten how many weeks, but several weeks, and we had one emergency call while we were there. A group of merchant ships left unescorted. There was no escort vessels for them. And up until that point, there weren't many Nazi submarines operating that far south. They were more up along the East Coast. But that small convoy, I don't know, those 3 or 4 ships, they got out in the middle of the night, they got attacked. And
Oh, really?
there was one of them that survived. I think it was only one, but they sent us out to see if we could lend any assistance. And with a bunch of green sailors and not knowing anything about sea warfare or anti-submarine warfare yet. But anyway, I don't remember whether we rescued anybody or not, but there was just one ship left and the ocean was covered with debris, so we escorted it back to Guantanamo. But then we operated in the Atlantic for a while, and eventually we went around to the West Coast, went to Key West, to Pearl Harbor, and then they started issuing us winter weather gear. And we were sent to the Aleutian Islands. So we were up there for 9 months, and then came back to the States, and then to Pearl Harbor, and I got transferred off the ship from there. Came back to the States and went to school at sonar school at San Diego, California, and I was there for quite a long time. I went through a refresher training on the sonar operations. Then they sent me through 2 maintenance schools, and I ended up at Mare Island Navy Yard, where I was an instructor and trainer, maintenance man, I'm trying to say, on the anti-submarine warfare training equipment that they had there on the ships that come in for repair, and they'd have send the crews up for retraining. So I finished out the war there, and the war ended in 45, I guess it was, if I remember correctly. I was discharged. I made second class aboard ship, and I made first class at the Navy Yard. I was discharged on, I think it was February of '46.
Okay.
So in a nutshell, that's what I did. Nothing really exciting.
No, that is.
But there was a lot of exciting things happened when we came back from our shakedown cruise, and we were heading north to Mare Island Navy Yard. The ship broke down again.
Oh, really?
We were escorting a French ship. I couldn't tell you what it was, but We were supposed to escort that up to New York. Well, our ship, something happened in the engine, and we sat out there off Cape Hatteras, I think is about where we were, for 7 hours.
Oh, really?
In the middle of the night. And of course the place was loaded with submarines, but fortunately, we were a sitting duck, but fortunately nobody found us. And, well, we were disabled, and we finally got the thing repaired and got back to port. But one disaster after another like that.
Yeah.
Pretty strange.
Wow. What was it like to? It was a brand new ship when you were on it.
Yes.
What was it? Was it? You were the first one in the bunk. That had to be a
Oh yeah.
fabulous experience.
Well, it was, and it was a scary experience too, at sea in rough weather, which
Oh,
we
yeah.
saw a lot of. My bunk was just about at the water line, maybe a little bit below, in the after end of the ship. And engine room was just forward of me. I could hear the engines and feel them running. And we were the first to know when they didn't run. The vibrations would all stop. And, it was pretty scary when that happened. But anyway, I got to lay there in my bunk, and the destroyer, of course, is pretty thin-skinned. Now I could see the bulkhead just moving back and forth when the winds hit us. But it was tough on a ship like that. Up in the Aleutian Islands, the worst weather in the world, I
Yeah.
think. And it's just a miracle we survived. But you bounced around. I got kicked out of my bunk more than once with the waves, and I finally learned to strap myself in bad weather. But it was lots of stories like that. We were bombarding the Kuril Islands. The tip of the Kamchatka Peninsula came down from Russia, and the Japs had an air base right at the tip of that. And then there were a bunch of the islands. We went over there 3 or 4 times. We were operating out of that too, in the Aleutians, and we bombarded them. And one night, we were in the process of bombarding, and all of a sudden, we spotted a submarine on the surface between us and the shore. Somebody yelled, "Submarine, blah, blah," where it was. Well, my battle station was on a 40mm anti-aircraft gun. I was a director operator. So we started everything. Our main battery was firing on the beach, so we fired our anti-aircraft guns at the submarine. And all of a sudden, somebody yelled, "Torpedo on the port beam." And sure enough, you could see this wake from them coming right at us, and they both went right dead under us. So it was kind of scary. We expected to be in the water any minute, but he apparently thought we were a bigger ship than we were, and he had them set too deep. But that was probably the closest call I had while I was aboard a ship. It was frightening.
Any aircraft attacks?
We had 2 while we were bombarding, after we bombarded the Jap Islands. We'd wait for a foggy night to do it because we had no air cover over there. And we had made our runs. We went through the island chain into I think it's called the Oshkosh Sea. I couldn't spell it, let alone pronounce it right. We made our bombardment, and we're heading back to the fog bank, and they found us, they followed us back, and we were attacked just twice, but nothing, we never got hit, the ship was never hit.
Wow.
And after I left it, they went down and they went through all of the island hopping operation, Okinawa and Iwo Jima. So they were very fortunate.
How were officers aboard ship?
How were they?
How were they?
They were fine.
Good guys?
Yeah, we had some of them that were a little bit stuck up, but for the most part they were good guys. And it was the joy of being on a destroyer. You have got to know everybody. They knew, the officers knew all the men, almost all of us by name, I'm sure. But for the most part, they were good guys.
Great.
Our first executive officer was probably the toughest officers that I met while I was on it. I was on it just under 2 years. But the first captain we had was a captain, a four-striper, and he had lost a ship at Guadalcanal. And our ship had 5.5-inch 38 guns for our main battery, and he had us lined up on the deck on commissioning day, and he said there were 5.5-inch guns on this ship, and he said, "I want a Jap ship for every one of them." So he was held far and bent to get over there and do it, but he got transferred off right after our shakedown cruise.
Oh, really?
He was too high a rank to be on a destroyer.